Okay, this is a whim that I purchased this tank back. So welcome to my channel again. I'm V Blue Guitar. Obviously, I still have my cold. I'm recording this the same night that I did the Tier 7 T25 AT review. My friend came over this weekend, and he's only got up to Tier 4. He's like, hey, can we platoon? You know, and I'm like, yeah, sure, man. So I was going through my garage of Tier 4s, and I had some tanks that I've been playing. The Kehoe is one of them. I did have a Panzer III because that's what he has, and I hate it. I really hate the Panzer III. Some guys love it. To me, it's just completely useless. No armor, no gun. It's basically a scout. It gets miserable MM. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy a B1. So a little V Blue Guitar history. I started playing this game about 2 years ago. I think it was either like February or March of 2012. And the French tanks had just come out. And at the time, now the Germans have added the DW2. But at the time, this was the only heavy Tier 4 tank. Everything else was medium. And as I was learning how to play back then when I started, you know, Tier 2 would see Tier 5. So you'd run into the AMX, 38, you'd run into the AMX 40, and you'd run into this guy, the B1 tank. And he was a fierce competitor when he was top tier. So I said to myself, I'm going to go down the French tanks, and I'm going to get the B1. Little did I know what a nightmare the French tanks can be. And one thing that you don't know, I think, when you start this game is that there's certain lines of tanks that are easier than others. So I'm going to say the easiest lines are the Russian and the American lines. The French is definitely not the easiest line. So I made the mistake of going down the French line. And I got to the B1, and I liked it, but I was very bad with it. And, of course, it was my first Tier 4 tank, and it was my first heavy tank. And I really struggled. And I didn't know anything about the game. So one of the mistakes I made, of course, and this was back in the day when you couldn't buy gold ammo with silver. You had to pay gold. Well, I didn't have any money to pay for it, so I just used the regular ammo, and I couldn't ever get my gun to penetrate anything. So now that they've made gold available with silver, it's $1,200 a round. It's expensive, but I do use it because it gives you much better penetration with your gun, and you're going to need it with this tank because the gun at Tier 3 only does 66 penetration, so you're not going to be able to penetrate most of the bigger tanks that you're going to face. Some of the little guys you can, but the big ones you face, you are not going to be able to do it. So you need to load at least 20 silver rounds because it fires fast, too. That's the other thing about this tank that fires fast. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What is the B1? Well, the French designed this to be an anti-infantry weapon, and this was the main gun. But for some reason, World of Tanks, well, we know the reason why. World of Tanks wanted to make it easier and play like the other tanks, so they made this the main gun, and this does not fire. It's kind of disappointing because this is actually a much larger gun, but it would make the tank play more like a tank destroyer, and the turret would be fixed, and that would just be kind of weird. So I understand why they did it, but this is the better gun. So you're stuck with this crappy gun, and so it makes the tank kind of hard to play. Now, one of the areas that this tank is good, though it is suffering what they call power creep, and what power creep is as they add new lines of tanks, these newer tanks have better guns, better speed, better accuracy. It makes this tank a little bit easier to kill. So we have 60 armor on the front, 60 on the sides. That's pretty decent at Tier 4, 55 on the back. However, our turret is fairly weak with 46 all the way around. Most Tier 4 tanks can penetrate you anywhere. So you're going to have to play angles. You're going to have to angle the tank. You're going to have to wiggle the tank. You're going to have to move the tank back and forth to keep from getting hit. Hopefully, you're going to bounce shots. You're also going to have to use the terrain to hide. But if you get into a Tier 4 battle, you're going to have a field day with this tank because you'll be the only heavy or one of the only heavies on the map except for the DW2, and you can easily kill a DW2 if you use the gold ammo. One of the other things you could try is using HE, though it doesn't do much damage, so I wouldn't suggest it. But, you know, that's kind of the play style of this tank. Now, I went all the way down the French line up to Tier 8, to the AMX 5100, and I got fed up with it. And I realized that I need to focus on what tanks I want to get to Tier 10 in. And I realized I wanted the American, the M103, followed by the Tier 10 T110E5. I also wanted to get to the T62A, and I also want to get the T110E3, which is the tank destroyer. So those are my goal tanks, and the AMX 50B just didn't interest me anymore. So I actually ended up selling the AMX 5100 and taking the crew and loading them into this tank. And they actually match up. So I have a very, very good crew, and that's one thing I wanted to tell you about. If you're new to World of Tanks, when your crew gets trained up to 100%, they get perks. And as these guys get their perks, they get better at what they do. So they can teach each other to play better. I got the snapshot so I can shoot while I'm moving. I have these 2 perks on the driver. They help him turn faster, and they also help him run over different kinds of terrain faster. This guy can repair things faster, and he can extend the radio range so we can see farther. Same with the commander. He can see farther. And he gives these guys a boost because I've got him with Mentor. So there's all kinds of things that you can train your guys with, and it just makes the tank so much better. So when you see this tank play, you're going to see it running with a really good crew, and that should be a goal. Sometimes you find a tank that you like. You just need to keep running it until the crew gets good. The other way you can do that, if you're new to the game, is you can buy a premium heavy tank of the same class. So here, or the same country. So here I have this crew, and then I bought the FCM 50T, and I can take my crew and put it in this premium tank, and even though they're not trained for this tank, they can run it with no penalty. They get extra experience, they make extra money, and they learn faster. So I put them in this tank, and then I take them back into this tank and run them again. Now, I got this tank because of the AMX 5100B and because of my ARL 44, which is further down the line. So I run these guys in there, and I also run these guys in there. Any other French crews that I have that are heavy tank drivers, I will run in there. But, that gives you an idea about the training. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. We're going to go ahead and run the tank. We're going to look at the stats a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and run the tank. So once again, we've talked about the armor. We've talked about the terrible gun. This tank has 420 hit points, which is kind of on par for the only other heavy that's in this class. 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. That's not bad for a heavy. And you know what? This tank actually feels pretty agile because of its traverse speed. Now, it's only 28, but because my crew is perked out, you'll see this tank can whip around very quickly. It's kind of funny to watch. And then I guess the other big deal is that it's got average view range, and it's got a decent radio range once it's upgraded all the way. And I use there is no gun rammer because, I don't know, there's no loader and there's no gun rammer. So, but I use a gun laying drive to help it aim faster. I use the vents to help the whole crew perform better. And I use a spall liner. I used to get hit by Artie a lot. I don't think they really even pay attention to this tank much anymore, and you really don't see him very often. So, Artie doesn't really gun for it like it used to. So, let's go ahead and run this guy. All right, so here's a sample of some of the tougher MM that I've been getting. I don't remember it being this hard when I first started with this tank, but it's definitely gotten to the point where you get put into a lot of really tier 6 battles. I guess this is only tier 5, so I'm only 1 tier up from where I should be. But now, if you're one of those lucky people that get the PZB2, which is really the same tank but the German captured edition, and of course they never release it unless you buy like 4 other tanks with it, so it ends up being like $100 to get it, or $60 or $80. Then you get locked into tier 4 as long as you play by yourself or with somebody else that has a tank that has the same, like the Valentine 2 or another PZB2. And that tank really shines because it's always top tier. This tank is not so lucky. You get to tier 6 and tier 5, and it does not do real well in those tiers. As you can see, here we're going to get slaughtered probably. I'm definitely going to have to load gold ammo, and even then it's going to be a stretch. But that's just the reality with this tank. But it's a fun little tank. Oh boy. So here's where... Now, I don't need gold for him, so I'm going to try to side scrape here and... He's going to try to... Bad idea. He must not be... Alright, where am I getting hit? Okay, I'm going to suck in now. Where did he hit me? I don't see where he hit me. I want to lure this guy back out if I can. They're going to totally fall. Look at all these tanks. Bad, bad, bad. Don't think people are seeing what's going on here. Typical Tier 5 game. Half the people are in it. The other half, they have no idea what's going on. Okay, the Matilda 4 is going to be a threat for sure if he's got the good gun. Dang it. Well, he won't even... Oh, this guy must have gone AFK. Wasn't watching. Now I got trouble behind me. They don't, maybe my camo's good enough that they didn't see me. I doubt that, but somehow I got past them. So let's see what happens. This is really risky because I'm running up with my back exposed. The T-14 could be a problem. If there's somebody up that way, that's going to be a problem, but I want to flank these guys if I can catch them in the butt. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Oh, look at this guy. He was waiting for me. And he'll just turf me. Yeah, I need to back out. Come on, fire guys. Come on, boys. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Talk about RNG. Hit him 4 times in the same spot, and the last time it doesn't go through. How typical is that? So as you can see, that's RNG. What is RNG? For those of you that don't know, it's the roll of the dice. So my last shot happened to take him down to 1 health, and I fired again in the exact same spot that I was shooting before, and yet somehow it miraculously bounced and allowed him to kill me. That's called RNG. Not making it up. You watched it happen. All right, so, you know, obviously you hit in slightly different spots each time, but it's, you know, come on. Really? That last shot's going to bounce. Yeah, so you can see I did a respectable job for what I was put into. I was one of the bottom tanks, and I ended up in the top 4. Not bad. Did 500 damage. Now, here's where it gets ugly. Yeah, with a premium account, because I had to buy like 5 or 6 rounds of gold, I only made 4,900. Now, if I hadn't been premium, I would have only made 691 credits. So, you know, you can either just push your way through this tank, struggle your way through this tank using the regular ammo, or you can, you know, put the gold out and grind your way. Or if you're like me and you're playing this tank for enjoyment, well, then you're not planning on making money with it. You're just playing it to have fun. So that's where I'm at. I really enjoy this tank. So let's go ahead and run it again. Hopefully we'll get better tiering this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a tier 6 match, because that does seem to happen frequently with this now. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so we have a top tier battle here. Sometimes these are kind of hard to get in this tank. Looks like I've got a stock B1 as my running partner. I think. Is that a stock turret? Yeah, it's the stock turret and the stock gun. Poor fella. And we're up against 2 M3 Lees and 2 DW2s, which of course are oh, and 2 Matildas. Man, we're hurting. Those are going to be hard tanks to beat. And the DW2s are platooned. So really, we have me against them, because this guy, he ain't going to do squat with that gun. So, go this way. Hopefully I'll get some support. So you can see this guy's got a little giddy up. It's not bad. When you go uphill, it's slow for sure. But it's not, you know, for a heavy tank, it's not horrible. And it's a classic French tank. I know when I think of like Indiana Jones, they had the turretless version of this with the two guns going out the sides. You guys remember that? It was the same idea of a tank. I think it might have been a German. Older, a little bit older, vintage, but still.
This is how we say goodbye in Germany. This is how we say goodbye in Austria.
All right, ladies and germs, I need support. The Matilda is too thick for me. Especially his turret. He's got 75 on the turret. Yep. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, he can't see me. I can see this dude. And I'm getting out. I'm going to make him come to me. And he's slow, thankfully. But I could use a little help. Little help, please. This guy's just going to run me right over. Oh, dang it. Well, $1,200 whiffed into the ground. These rounds are expensive as expensive as the T-29 rounds. Ah, he's going to kill me. Yeah, great, lovely top tier game, and that's what I'm talking about. Power creep right there. What are you gonna do? You know, I have a gun. I'm using my best ammo, my premium ammo, and I still can hardly penetrate the dude. And then he just rips me to shreds like I'm not even there. And it's a medium tank on top of that. So, that's power creep. Like I said, so this tank can be fun, but unless you have support, you know, and even there, those guys were all shooting him. But you know, that's the Matilda. So you can be a top-tier tank in this and still not have a good battle if you run into them first. So there you go. We'll do one more because that just sucked. All right. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? The loss of 2,000 credits with premium. That would have been 6,000 loss. Man, I did almost nothing. But that shows you, and I think that's an important battle to see, so you can tell where the power creep is. This is a very difficult tank to play at times because if you run into the wrong tank, hey man, if I run into all the scouts and the BT7, no big deal. Even the DW2s, I can handle those. You run into the Matilda, you're pretty much screwed because he's going to tear you to shreds. He's got 112 penetration, so he's doubling your armor with penetration, and he's got more armor than you, and he's got more health than you, and he's got just a faster rate of fire than you. You're not going to beat him. So that's a good example of what power creep does to these tanks. So 2 years ago, this was pretty cool. Now, but let's go ahead and run it one more time. So what it seems like to me is you're pretty much going to be in tier 5 battles all the time. And once in a while, you'll get a tier 4. Once in a while, you're going to get a tier 6, which is horrible. But, you know, is this a good weekend fun tank? No. Is it expensive to run? Yes. But it's kind of fun to run it with a good crew and see what it can do. So I've been enjoying this. And like I said, I had a good weekend with it. I think I had a 70% win rate with it at over 25 battles, or 60% or something like that. It was high. But, you know, and we've won one of the battles that you've seen so far. I think, did we lose the other one? Maybe we won the other one. I don't remember. But, you know, you do have good battles in it. And your teams a lot of times are good. So, but then you have turds like, you know, the last one where you just run into the wrong tank. And if there's nobody to support you, you're history, you know. I tried to back out, and I got as far away as I could before he overcame me. But then I just was overcome. And, come on, Lee. Lead the charge. Okay. We might get a lucky T80 snack here. This guy is running along the top of the ridge. It's an odd... Look, and all of our tanks are stopped right there. Urgh. It's a good way to get killed. So I'm going to sneak around and see what I can find. Okay, nobody's coming down this way yet. That KV-1's awfully close. T-28 right there. T-34. All these are tanks that'll rip you to shreds, except for the PZ-1C. Yeah, he's pretty much... I didn't even shoot. That was him touching me. But now it's over. The gig is up. I'm going to sneak through. I'm going to make it. Possibly, if those guys don't die, I'm just going to run right through. Scouty. Scout heavy. Man. I made it. I'm loading gold now. At this point, I'm probably going to run across everybody angry at me. So I'm going to try to, they're going to try to spot me out. And I got a T-15 light tank coming. I got a medium tank there. The Matilda, he doesn't know I'm here. Where is their artillery? Whoops. Okay, I need to get a little more cover than this, but... Yeah, and he broke my gun first shot. Welcome to the French tanks. Oh boy, the artillery stopped me. Okay, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Oh, that was my guy. Oh no. Okay, so now I am locked down because I am in enemy territory bad, and we're losing. Our team has totally blown it. Oh. Oh. He broke my turret. Oh. Push, push, push. Oh, come on. Fix the turret, boys. Okay, we're going to load the gold. Oh, man. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my... Oh! C'est fini. Well, that's what happens when you play scout, like you play your heavy like a scout, you end up looking like that. But that was kind of a fun way to end it. I don't know that we're going to win, but I definitely caused a lot of trouble. I didn't do a whole lot of damage, and I wasted a lot of money. So all I can say is if you are interested in the French heavy line, you're in for a bumpy ride, my friends. You are. You're going to have to really spend the money, and it's not going to be easy. It's painful for sure. Okay, well, we'll see who wins at the end. That was funny. So, yeah. What do you think? If I wasn't premium, that would have been a 2,400 gold or silver loss. I got a 2,400 gain. Didn't do much. Once again, got just kind of run over. Though, look how high I scored. Jeepers criminy. Well, I guess I did some scouting, so go figure. Yeah, so that's where we're at with this tank. Like I said, it's fun. I don't want to discredit it, but power creep has definitely... It never was a great tank to begin with, but when you run into stuff like the Matilda, which came out afterwards, any of those tank destroyers from the German line, you're in for trouble. And of course, you know, if you get in a tier 5 match, you're once again in for trouble. This is one of those tanks that really cannot perform, and they need to either get rid of it or they need to give it a buff on the gun to keep up with what's going on. Maybe just switch it over to tank destroyer style and let them use the actual gun. Because, though I don't know, because you couldn't, the gun doesn't pivot left and right, so you'd have to turn the whole tank. It's a mess. It's a fun mess, and I like playing it. Like I said, I've been enjoying it. I've been actually having a good time running it. It's a lot of fun to platoon with other people because then you're making more of an impact. But it's a pretty funny little tank. And when you get into tier 5 and 6 battles, you're not taken seriously. So sometimes you can sneak through like I did and actually spot stuff. But once you get confronted, you're done for. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're new to World of Tanks, like I said, there's easier lines to go down. The French line is not a bad line, and it's got some really good tanks. Like I said, the ARL is exemplary. A lot of people like the autoloader tanks on both the medium and heavy ends. I don't particularly, but a lot of people do like them. They're light tanks. They don't have a lot of armor. This is a decent premium tank. You've seen the review. If you haven't, go ahead and watch my review on this. And I'll be doing another one soon because with the updates, it's been a while, and I need to kind of update it again so that it has the latest patch review. So anyway, have a good night. Please subscribe, and hope to see you guys around the battlefield.